Okay, we are live, I think, on air right now.
We think.
Boom, we are live.
Yeah,
we
this is there's always a 50-50 shot for our show, right? Whether it's oh shit, I just hang on.
There you go. Come on, you need to turn your voice down on your side. There you go.
Apparently we are live. It just popped out there, so good to hear. Good to hear.
There you go. There you go. You're on air.
Who so we got?
Ready XRM is on air with us. I see.
Yep, there's Nick. How's it going, man?
Andrew Jameson. Awesome. Live on air. Good. I'm going to just pop out my little chat window there so I can see the chat on my screen. Biff it over there and close that down. Anyhow, what's news, Steve? What's news?
Oh, man, it's been a busy week. Lots of continued confusion out there, in the community, and some of it's justified, some of it's people looking for a reason to bash. That one's been driving me a little nuts here lately. Is this the whole FUD, right? The fear and uncertainty and doubt makers that just they piss me off. I did a podcast last week with Gus, which he published about licensing, and we kind of did a deep dive. Got a couple of things to update today on the show about some things I may have been a little wrong on, which I know is hard to believe, but it does happen. But immediately we get people out there, oh, blah 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 blah, and just talking negative about stuff, and they weren't even correct. They hadn't even done their homework, and it just pisses me off. This immediate jump to, Microsoft's the evil empire. This is going to be horrible for every customer, and not even reading this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very frustrating. I'm trying to be nice, but it isn't easy.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Daniel is online. It's 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning in Australia there.
Did he make it?
40-year-old Dan. Honestly, I wonder if he's got a baby that's keeping him up or something, right? You got to wonder he's online that type of morning.
How can you see that he's online? Where do you see that?
In the chat session, he chatted. He said,
he did.
Something.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
And then who else?
We shamed him into it.
Yeah. Who else we got? Andrew, I was on the I was watching the Flow live stream yesterday, so that was a pretty big very long session, very well put together by John Levesque. So top notch. I love it. He thought we slammed him so hard, calling him soft. I was meant to put a smiley face after I said soft, but I was like, mate, you'll get that I'm having you on.
So Nick's saying he heard each time someone use a team license that Bill Gates kills a kitten, and that is partially true. I heard it was a puppy, but that's close. It's going to be interesting, and actually I wanted to try and address my point of clarification at the outset. I have been talking about this per app $10 SKU a lot, and it's going to be freaking huge. But I was also under the understanding that this was a platform-only SKU, not to be used with Dynamics 365, but just with a platform, because I thought I was told that, but I may have just assumed that, because otherwise it really puts a knife right in the heart of Dynamics 365, and I didn't think they were prepared to do that.
Who said something about that? Oh, back in Amsterdam earlier this year. What did they say? Something came out around Dynamics 365 is dead or something like that. I don't know.
I heard that, but I didn't think Microsoft themselves would be the ones to kill it. Yeah. So I hear you. I did get some clarification, and I do owe a partial apology to Mohammed Mustafa.
Hang on a second, everybody. Hit your record button. Steve's going to make an apology. Steve's going to make an apology. Okay, let's hear it, Steve.
It's out there forever now. So I'm still not 100% sold on the strategy that he was proposing about, someone who thinks they might need the first party to go ahead and start there. But financially, he has a point, because, and I clarified this with Ryan Cunningham the other day, that, if you have Dynamics 365 customer engagement stood up, and you create an app that doesn't use any of the restricted entities, you can give that user a $10 license. Well, when you look at the sales application in particular, there's hardly any restricted entities. I mean, you could damn near use a sales app out of the box with a $10 license instead of a $95 license. It seems to me that that is going to be, and I've actually asked Ryan, I follow back up for further clarification about that exact point of whether or not, I mean, that to me, that just puts a knife right in the heart of dynamic. Why would anybody pay $95 for a sales app if they can basically have the sales app for $10? Yeah, I mean, I just don't. So there's I think there's another piece of that might be missing, and I'm still trying to get that final little piece, because if that's the case, I mean, they're just putting a knife in Dynamics themselves.
Yeah.
You and I were also talking before the show about Charles Lamanna's new title, which is
senior vice president, right?
He is a corporate vice president,
which is
actually that's the same title that James Phillips has.
Wow, CVP.
That's CVP. So, but his actual title was CVP Citizen Application Platform. Well, I think you and I both know, and everybody else knows that, Charles, he runs the whole damn show, right? The whole platform is Charles' baby. He owns it all. And, but his title has citizen as the first word in it. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but just, it seems interesting, doesn't it?
So you're saying his title is CV, say that again. So it's CVP what?
CVP Citizen Application Platform.
Wow.
And I got that straight from him. I mean, I asked him for it. So
okay, so is that the new name? Are we calling it CAP now?
Citizen I don't know. Citizen Application Platform, maybe.
Hang on, here. Listen, announcement coming through. Power Platform is dead.
Well, it didn't last long.
Long live CAP. Get your CAP.
CAP. That's the CAP.
There it is. You heard it here first, fellas. Heard it here first.
Well, I will be. I'll actually be interviewing Charles in 2 days for the second podcast I will have done with him, and the timing is definitely good. So I'll be getting some clarification on all of these things, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. my time Friday, which is like their afternoon. So I reached out to him the other day after I congratulated him on that title and said, "You're not going to blow off my podcast, not you're a big swinger, right?"
Yeah.
And he promised, "Nope, not going to blow it off." So
nice.
He's committed. So I'll try and get some more details and understanding of some of this stuff, because that citizens interesting.
So that whole apology that you started out there came around that CDS migration question, right? So
yes,
so we were talking about CDS migration last week, that you couldn't update a clean CDS instance to use a first-party app.
Correct.
Or the other way around at the moment, right? It's apparently on the roadmap. It'll happen one day.
So I think other way around wouldn't matter, because other way around everything is there. So back to Mohammed's point, if you start with Dynamics 365 CDS instance, then you pretty much have everything that you would need. If you start with CDS only, you can't today, upgrade that to a one of the first party instances. But Ryan Cunningham also told me that is a planned thing that they're going to do, but it's not. They don't have roadmap or commitment dates on it yet. So it doesn't sound like it's happening next week, but that is a plan for you to get there. Am I missing some questions here we should be paying attention to?
Hopefully my microphone has improved considerably now that I'm talking into the microphone rather than away from it.
Oh yes, you're getting some.
Anyhow, so
you're all over the place. You talk all over the room. You turn your head.
I turn my head too much. You wouldn't think I've been podcasting for a while. Anyhow, Andrew Jamison, great to have you on. Jason, Jonas is online again. AR Hollowbed is there. Great to have you guys on the show. And Dynamics Objects is also on the show. I just see a question come in. Fantastic to have you all here. One of the things I wanted to discuss was...
There we go. Look at that. Dynamics Objects already starting the FUD.
What is that? Power Apps, $10 SKU, coming with 2,000 daily API limit.
There comes the FUD. Let's get the FUD out there. By the way, before we continue, what the fuck is that on your microphone?
Watch this.
Yeah, that. What is that? Some sort of a...
Oh, listen, this is an award. I was given this by Will Dorrington. I was out on Saturday night with him. We were celebrating the end of the UK part of the global hack. The DGI global hack. DGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, DGI. No, that's not
No.
right.
TDGI. Yes.
Got that wrong.
Those dynamics.
Yeah.
TDG.
TDGI global hack. And so I got awarded this. It was kind of like, how you have the sorting hat in Harry Potter. This here was the
Grand Unicorn.
this is the judging hat. This is the judging hat. So I got to put that on, and I did a bit of a video announcing the winner.
I saw that
other day. Some people are asking when I'm coming out, just because the way I kind of have that nice twirl. But so interesting time. So that's what that is, and why it's on here. But hey, I want to get back to FUD, because
FUD.
One of the things I've been saying over the last, I don't know, it's probably 3 months now, is that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I used to always compete from Salesforce, right? They were always raking this on us. And 101 in sales, you're taught about fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and how your competitors will rake or make your customer think, you're doing something wrong, and therefore that creates fear. Mm-hmm. Well, they'd go, are they really going to do that? Are they really, and create doubt? And so my concern is lately, with so many of the announcements that are coming out from Microsoft, and I go back to Ignite again, as was it Ignite? Inspire, sorry, it was Expire, right? That these announcements first came out about the licensing change, and it seems that Microsoft at the moment are creating their own FUD. They're specifically creating fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market by talking about licensing changes and then changing actually how those work. They're landing stuff in market before they've actually done some critical assessment. In IT security, you have what's called red team, blue team, where you go in and you have a different team that was involved in setting up the security. Their job is to carry out pen testing, that type of thing. And
eat it apart.
Exactly. Find the hole, because you don't want your enemy, competitor, a hacker, to find the hole, right? But I feel lately that Microsoft is creating their own fear in the market. They're creating fear for ISVs, in that, the API thing came out and everyone's panicking on that. It was unnecessary fear. And here's the other thing. It's announcements before they've built stuff into the platform that settles that down. So listen, there would be a lot less fear over the API issue and the API calls if every administrator could jump into the system and take a look at what's their API call currently, right? That would eliminate a lot of fear for people, because when they made the announcement earlier in the year around storage costs, and they're going to a 3-tier storage model or 3 location, once again, they made the announcement in market, this is what we're going to do. And I can't remember, but I'm not sure that the dashboard to reflect where your storage was sitting and whether you're under limit, over limit, all that kind of stuff was built at that point. And I think there needs to be, too much cart before the horse type stuff going on. Build the stuff, get people comfortable with it, then say, okay, now this is what this means. Yet what they're doing is going, this is what this means. And by the way, you can't measure it. You just have to trust us. And everyone's going, whoa, hang on a second. How can I build a business with these constant changes every couple of weeks that have been, and whether they are changes or not, it's the perception of them, right? And the whole thing, they're a big organization. They've got marketing expertise. They have got adults in the company, right? That should have history and experience. I see your joke on that. They should have the history and the tenure to actually not just make these random, it's like pulling pistols out of their pocket. Pow, 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 pow. Here's what we're doing. And then watch, what the hell goes down after it. I just think,
you and I are not entirely on the same page there. By the way, I'll tell Jonas Rapp, fuck you. It's our show. We'll do whatever the hell we want. I think that what happens a lot is is I don't think that it's Microsoft necessarily creating the fear, uncertainty, and doubt as much as it is the first reactors to everything they do.
They're creating an environment for it. They are creating an environment for it.
I think, but I think there are people that are too ready and looking for it. And
I would agree with that. Yeah, there's people that definitely, but like I try to read the documentation. I read the documentation, and I tell you what, I could not make sense or heads or tail of it. So I feel that, I hope I kind of know a thing or two. And if I'm struggling with it, how many other people are struggling with it? That's my concern.
I think you have to look at Microsoft's recent behavior. I mean, you can't go back to the evil empire. You have to look at the recent behavior and what they're really, I think the way they're acting, and they're trying to get somewhere, and they're trying to get there quickly, and I appreciate that. But you have to view things with a level of trust and confidence, which too many people have none of at all, and they view everything through that filter of, okay, you guys are fucking with us, or you're screwing us, or aha, here's the secret. And I don't think anybody on the Microsoft side is trying to do any of that stuff. I think they're trying to get where they need to get. We got people talking about these limits, and even, I'm reading today, one of the Microsoft people said, hey, if the limits aren't high enough, we'll raise them. I mean, everybody's thinking like this is the end of the world. I mean, oh my God, my whole life, every customer, I mean, they're not going to let that shit happen. They already talk about 95% of the people are not going to be impacted by any of this shit.
But this is the thing,
95% of the partners are all screaming about it.
But that only comes out after people start raising issues. And that's the problem. If they put in their press releases, we don't see this affecting anymore, but the top 2% of our customer base.
Yeah.
Most people will be like, phew, fine. But what they're doing is that they're allowing the thinking to come in because of the ambiguity of their messaging to market. And yes, you have got a market that's very keen on the sky is falling, Chicken Little, that type of thing.
Yep.
But get better on your comms, right? This should be a pattern, right? They should bring in a team and say, listen, we have been communicating to market wrong for the last 12 months, whatever it is. We need to stop this shit going down. Let's clean up our comms pattern so we don't even have to, because all this is a distraction, right? If this was politics, we would know they'd be sneaking stuff through in the back door while we're all focused over here. The thing is that this doesn't need to go on in the modern business world we live in. This is long time ago type stuff, right? This is not for now.
I definitely agree that they need to tighten up the comms. I think that it's almost like every time they say something, and I go back to the storage issues a while back, the first word out was storage is going up 8x. That was the only message that got out from that.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody right now is paying extra for storage. I mean, it was a non-thing, but it's
no. There's definitely people paying extra for storage. As in, I specifically heard of a customer that their case in point, it went up into the millions. So.
Well, there's outliers, sure, but that's the reason for the change. They were the reason for the change, probably.
Yeah. Exactly. Right on.
But I think they send out these comms, trying to be sincere, and I think that they get the comm right the second time around because they just are never prepared. I mean, those guys got to just get bitch slapped every time they send out a press release. They'd be scared to death to push that button. They've probably read it 1,000 times, and from their side of the table, it seems to make perfect sense until they push that button, and then all of a sudden they find out that things riddled with fucking holes. It's just torn
to shreds. Red team, blue team, right? They've got a lot of people that they can call on in the market to sign an NDA and say, tell us what's wrong with this before we hit send.
Well, they got the baked-in audience for that, and they do sometimes, but clearly not enough. And we see stuff on the MVP stuff. Frequently they'll come out, hey, here's some language we're about to release. Don't say that yet, it's NDA, but what do you guys think? Is this clear? But frankly, sometimes we'll say, yeah, it seems clear to me, and then they'll release it and the market still blows up. Everybody's looking for the aha, there it is. There's the thing. And then, the storage is going to go up 8x for everybody. I mean, they just look for this shit and then blow it the hell up.
Yeah.
And I'm not defending Microsoft. Obviously, they could do some of these things better. It just pisses me off that the first reaction of the public, it's almost like all these folks are actually Salesforce partners charading as Dynamics partners just to create this FUD. Maybe that's the case. Yes, we're gonna.
Okay, so I've opened up my web browser here, and you can see just released this brand new book, The Common Data Service, the Power Platform series. I got it on Kindle there. David Yack's the author. When was it published here? There you go. The 2nd of September was the publish date. So
that's only like a week ago.
Yeah. So this is hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. So if anybody wants to drill into the Common Data Service, I would say either Julie or David took this photograph. That'll be one of their photographs, I'd say.
Probably from their backyard.
Yeah, it'll be one of their safaris they're on. But yeah, take a look, check it out if you think you know somebody or this should become standard reading material in your company. I know they had a fantastic reviewer in the book. In fact, why don't we just take a look inside and just see?
Let me guess who this would be.
Hang on, let's see what's in this book. Let's see. Oh, hang on, what's it? Oh my gosh, look at that!
Look at that!
Oh, look at that! Top-notch reviewer.
Now I feel bad. I'm not on the list.
Yeah, look at that.
I'm suffering a little FOMO here.
Few people there were.
George made the list. Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. It's got George and not me. Wow. Wow. So everybody go buy his book anyway, even though I didn't review it. I'm sure it is going to be the Bible for the time being, and good luck to David having to keep that damn thing up to date.
Yeah, well, this is the beauty of books like this, right? With print on demand, is that you can go in there and edit the book right now, hit publish, and 2 minutes later, it's ready for a new print run. That's the beauty with Kindle publishing, right? After I did this, with my wife, and it's in her book, and it is that simple. So you don't have to panic about doing edits when things are not 100%.
Just have to go do them continuously.
Yeah. Totally. So cool. I just thought I'd talk about that. Then they've not really said anything in market about it, but I thought I'd put it out there. So yeah, people can grab it if they want it. Yeah,
David's a pretty humble guy, so we'll do his screaming for him. Got a couple of folks talking in the thing here. Make sure you haven't missed anything important. Although anything important is what we were talking about. Let me see. Where's the foul language? Always blocks my comments. Haha. Good point, Steve. Yeah, let me highlight that one. Not sure what the point was, but I'll take it. Thomas,
I think the people, all the partners going to town around partners jumping on the bandwagon of shipping raw.
You know what? It's funny too, because I've done my share of that, right? I mean, I have taken Microsoft to task sometimes, and I mean, it kind of is what it is, but I guess I'm just not seeing as much fire this time from the smoke that everybody else seems to be seeing. I think Microsoft is slowly learning. They're definitely targeting those outliers with any of these changes. They're targeting those outliers. They can always adjust these things, and I've already said, hey, you know what? If we didn't provide enough, we'll move it. They're not just going to watch the market get up and walk away. The goal is to blow the market up. They're trying to go the opposite way. Yeah. There was somebody tweeting on or replying on the thing I did with Gus about portal stuff. I'm not a portal expert, but just talking out his ass about how horrible this is going to be and how Salesforce portals are so much cheaper, and Dilip, who owns portals, happened to jump in and point out that the guy's 100% wrong, and actually the Microsoft portals are way cheaper than Salesforce portals. So just flat wrong information, completely opposite of the truth. Yeah, and that stuff frustrates me.
Yeah. I mean, I had one this week. I did a YouTube clip on Monday, that I do, and another individual jumped on there and called me on it, saying, I don't think you're right. And so I was like, oh shit,
were those the words he used?
I think his words were, you go read it there on the comment stream on LinkedIn, because I leave all the comments up there. But what pisses me off is that sometimes people in authority also say stuff and it's their opinion, it's not fact, but the market takes it as fact.
I apologize for doing that continuously.
No,
you're talking about me, right?
No, I'm not talking about
I'm
you.
right here, Mark. I'm right here. I can hear you.
All I'm saying is that people sometimes, people are very good at putting their opinions across, and I am as well. And the way I put my opinion across, and we can do this, is that we put it across as though where it's fact, where it's actually opinion. It's not fact.
Yep. Or it's a mix. I mean, I know I have a tendency sometimes to have 90% of the facts, and that last 10%, I might make a couple of assumptions that seem logical based on those facts.
Yeah.
But that kind of throws the whole thing into opinion land at that point. You know what I mean?
That's it.
I'm guilty of that. So anybody who steers their business based on Steve Mordue's blog is an idiot. Read it, sure, but don't steer your business by it.
You had something about platform license margins. What was that all about? I didn't kind of get it. You said let's chat about it. What are you on about?
So, and this has to do with probably a fairly small segment, but maybe some people looking into the space was around this ISV embed. And ISV embed is a concept where you as a partner can sell a license at a deeply discounted price from retail because it is bundled with your IP and exclusively to be used with your IP. So a lot of ISVs, look at that ISV embed. It's not an SI story, it's purely ISV.
Okay, so could we use it as embed also being equivalent to like OEM?
It is an OEM license model.
It's an OEM license model. So we're saying, let's say if we looked at the old P2 model or the Plan 2, which was $40.
Yep.
If you were on this embed story, you could buy it for what, 22?
So actually, $40 was retail, right?
Yep.
So
RP,
even if you're selling a $40 license as a partner, you got some margin on that. But if you're an ISV embed, which we are with the Rapid Start, I can sell that license retail for $20, and I still have.
And you still have margin on that.
Yeah. So my cost was probably around. My cost was probably around $16. And we looked at that as kind of our advantage because nobody else really had that. So we still sold that license for $40. So we just made ridiculous margin on that license.
Yeah. So those million customers you had on there.
It's definitely is all about the idea of getting license margin in addition to the margin on your own IP. It was an avenue to make money on both ends, and a lot of ISVs didn't do that. They just sold their solution to the customer, and the customer bought their license from wherever they did. So it was a way for ISVs to get some license margin as well. But the problem is that the embed license is limited. You're only supposed to use that for your ISV solution. So for example, my Power App license that I would sell a customer, they were only supposed to use that with my Rapid Start. They weren't supposed to use that license and go build whatever the hell they wanted. So it was essentially a single app license. So now that they've come out with the new single app license this month, it's a $10 retail. They're automatically going to be switching a lot of us over to that license, which has actually got the right restrictions baked into it. The problem is my margin just went down. My cost on that license will be $7.50. So I'll make $2.50 on the license. So the margin just got gutted out of that license to the point to where I don't give a shit if I sell the license anymore or not. And they buy the license wherever you want. There's just no money in it. So that was kind of what I wanted to circle around to.
Gotcha.
And Daniel's saying cloud embed. Yeah, ISV cloud embed. Yep, that's the license I'm talking about. So I know I probably bored a bunch of SI folks that are on the call, but that's some of the ISV problems that nobody cares about, but ISVs.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. I didn't realize that there was that much margin, on that example of the P2 license.
Yeah, there was. And I think there's even potentially more margin for those partners that were doing ISV embed, say, on enterprise sales.
Gotcha.
That was a $95 license that, you know, they more or less were getting half price retail. But again, they didn't necessarily have to pass that on to their customers unless they needed to. Their customer perfectly fine paying $95. That's the advertised price out there. Those scenarios, there would have been a huge amount of license revenue. But Microsoft just chopped the legs out from under making any. And this, you know, I think I talked about this before with Googs, who's now running the ISV program. He clearly kind of shakes his head at ISVs and can't understand why do you guys care about the license? Well, I guess he just made us all not care anymore.
Yeah.
He just got us out of the licensing business.
Yep, he's definitely removed that. I'm just trying to,
because I would have partners all the time, partners in ISV. Hey, how do I get in cloud embed? How do I get that? How do I get that? I, you know, at this point, you know, who cares? So you don't even want it anymore. There's nothing there. So forget about it. If you were worried about it or thinking about it or wondering how to get it, don't worry about it. It's not worth the effort anymore.
Yeah. I had somebody reach out after our last session, a guy by the name of Ken Crawford. Don't know if he's on the session, and I'll kind of semi-summarize what he said. He said, I just want to say how much I love your podcast, Steve. I'm new to Dynamics 365, but have you know, experiences with other series. You like this guy, right? But I mean, I've been gorging. I like that word. I've been gorging on your podcast to get up to speed. So thank you for putting that out there. And I thank them for the feedback. And he quickly responded after that with looking forward to September the 11th live chat, which is now. So if you're on the call, Ken,
if you're on there, Ken, say hi.
Come on, say hi. But this is what he says.
Mark wants to tell you to fuck off.
No. Well, I love this. Please let Steve know, as part of my own learning, I've been reading his old blog posts, including his updated September the 19th, 2017 post about kicking the hornet's nest, where he also publicly declares, I am a moron. And
hey, I've publicly declared that several times. I don't hesitate. It does look like Ken is on also.
No, he is. AR Hollowbeard. That's Ken. Good on you, man. A couple of he sent me another message which I'm loving here. Mark figured you might say a potential discussion topic, and he said, I've been slogging through the Dynamics 365 on Microsoft Learn, right, which really leads into something I want to talk about here. And he was saying some of the modules seem very salesy, right? They're not so much talking about learning, but they're trying to sell the product through the training. And I think you're on point. And I don't know if there's a comment feature, but you should perhaps give Microsoft some of that feedback, because it's going to the actual worldwide learning team. But interesting.
Yeah, you've created some of that content, haven't you?
Yeah, but here's the crazy thing, right? You know, I put up there in the run sheet for today that EDX learning content is gone. And, you know, people started hitting me up and saying, listen, the links on your website take me to the EDX portal where Microsoft hosted all the stuff, and it's all gone. And apparently, and I've only heard this word of mouth, nothing direct from the horse's mouth, so to speak, but they pulled it, as in they, being Microsoft, have turned off that 45 to 50 hours odd, as 48 hours, I think, of training content on the Power Platform that me, Dave Yak, Julie Yak, Gus, sorry, not Gus, George Dubinsky, Sheila, and who else was involved? I forget who else was involved. And so we put all this content together, and I don't know why, but they've totally pulled it. It's no longer in the public domain, not available. So why have they done this?
Hopefully they don't ask you for a refund.
Yeah. I hope not. But here's the crazy thing, right? The whispers coming through the trees is that they worked out. They used Britta, thank you. That was the other person involved. Mr. Dolman, thank you for that. That's exactly who I was missing. But back to the point was,
they're just moving it.
No. Apparently, they've worked out that they used to charge people for this stuff in the past. And somebody has worked out, look, what, we're giving it away free? Yeah, like Trailhead does over at Salesforce. That was the whole idea. The market was crying out for learning. And then all of a sudden, let's pull the pin on that, and it's gone. And so, apparently only
Learn's free though, right? Learn is still free, right?
Yeah, but Learn is not 42 hours of just solid trading on the Power platform,
why
right?
couldn't they put it in there? They could put it in there though.
No, they don't want it on the market. This is the thing. I mean, EDX was just consider that the platform for distribution. They apparently it's only available to Microsoft certified trainers now, that content.
Interesting. That's stupid.
Which, yeah, it is just weird to me. The amount of people I know that really found that content valuable, and then I just sometimes I don't get the logic or the thinking or why people are doing what they're doing without kind of understanding this of the market.
Also, I mean, all this content has a pretty short shelf life right now. I think it, and I don't know how. I mean, your content wasn't that old. I mean, but it doesn't take long now for stuff to suddenly up. That's not what we're doing today, or not where we're steering things today, and suddenly it's no longer relevant. It's funny because for so long it was the opposite, right? I mean, we'd be looking at
you're looking at
5-year-old content.
Yeah. But anything had a 3-year shelf, life cycle.
Well, nowadays it's got about a 6-month life cycle, and it's already needs to be edited or updated.
Yeah, 365 Ging, 365 Ging says that if you already had it, because I know that I can log in and I can still get it, but I've had people hit me up on my blog, and I think if I do an in private browsing and try and sign up without an account, it doesn't seem to be there. Hey, call me a liar if you can. So if you can find that you can go on that one, right? I'd love to be a liar, because I think there's something that's needed in market. But just to pivot again, talking about Global Hack for Good, did you get? I know you were at the MBAS Hack for Good, right, Steve? You went and saw what happened.
I was. I was not wearing any wig, however, but I would have been the bald guy that was actually bald at that.
Yeah. Well, are you saying I was wearing a wig then? This is just given to me last week, mate. This is brand new.
No, you were wearing a blue wig at that time, so clearly you're into the wigs. You're definitely into the wig. You must have a whole collection by now.
Well, this is definitely my second one.
But yeah, the global ones seem pretty cool,
mate. TDGI. It's the I that's mucking me up, because I know them as TDG, but TDG is. What does
the I stand for? International now?
Yeah, I stands for international. So it's kind of like
busted out of the UK into international now.
Like a subgroup type thing. I think they're getting too many brands to create confusion, but that's a side thing. Will Dorrington is really the spearhead behind this, and he has done a phenomenal job. He's got a lot of people helping and involved, and Eric, I know up in Canada, has had a lot to do with it. Elaine down in Australia, but man, this is phenomenal. Over 400 people came together over a 24-hour period on Saturday around the globe and submitted and hacked and created apps, used Microsoft technologies, ate probably a ton of pizza. I know, drank a lot of beer. And this went on from the bottom of the world in New Zealand right the way around. Santa Claus is up there at the North Pole. He was even hacking for good. I understand, but the whole focus on this one was around education. They haven't yet announced the actual global winners. I announced I was judging for the United Kingdom and Ireland. Sorry, not the United Kingdom, England. I get this confused. I was judging England and I was judging Ireland. And then the other day, I've actually also passed in my judgments for the what was it called? The global, as in so all the global submissions. And I know they're just waiting on a few more judges to mark the content. And I think Friday this week, either Friday or Saturday, there's going to be a big announcement of who the global winner is. And I tell you what, some of the solutions, some of the things that people came up with in the 4 or 5 hours that they had on development was absolutely amazing. If anyone's got any links, I know Dan, you're one of the judges. Nick, were you? I'm not sure if you were one of the judges or you're involved in a team up there in Canada. But if you can put a link in the chat session, drop it in there. And if people want to kind of see what all the winning solutions are, all the videos are up on YouTube. You can see them. go ahead. If you like what you see, comment. Tell these people that they've, done a good job. So some of the people in the room I know in England had never even touched an app before. There were teachers there they had a problem and we're looking at getting built. So, but I got to take my hat off to Will, particularly. Lee, I forgot about Lee Baker. He was another big coordinator of everything happening there. But yeah, if you have a chance, sorry, Karen.
I was going to say, pretty amazing event, a testament not only to the hackers, but to the platform that they were using to be able to actually create some things that were that usable in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I'm curious about these big hacks like this. I mean, this isn't something you could do like monthly or weekly. I mean, there's got to be, how often can you do like a global hack? I mean, maybe quarterly, or is that?
I would say a global might only be once a year or once every 6 months.
Yeah.
Like I've challenged them. I was like 400. Come on, guys, get serious. Let's do 1,000 next time. All right.
Hey, first time though, right?
First time, like I'm having them on, right? No, but I'm saying like go for 1,000. I reckon get 1,000 teams around the world. There are teams from Philippines, Portugal, Germany. What are the other teams? There was, I don't know, one country, what are they? USA, they were there. It was all over the place. Like, as I say, New Zealand, Australia definitely had submissions. Scotland was another key country. Mate, you didn't laugh at my joke before. Like, I was trying to work out the USA, like nothing.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to let that go.
Canada, there you go. Canada, he was he was in there. Nick Dolman was a team leader in Canada.
Yeah.
I think Poland was the other place that jumps to mind.
So we didn't get Jamaica this year then.
No,
I mean, they even had a bobsled team at one time. Put together a hack team.
I knew where you were going with that. Well done. But hey, here's the crazy thing. Just another thing, like, and this blows my mind. On the same day, I jumped into a live webinar from Nigeria. And they were doing a whole Power Platform flow demo and training so many people across Nigeria on the Power Platform. And there's a massive, like, I've got a WhatsApp group for Nigeria. They're set up as part of the Power Platform Happy Hour. And there's around 30 odd people in that group that are having deep technical discussions on dynamics, on Power Apps, on flow. Like, really? They're not like going, oh, what is it? They are, I'm having problem with these API calls type discussions.
Oh, like, Jesus Christ. Give me away from the fucking API calls.
No. They're not worried about licensing. They're not talking about licensing. They're talking about, this is what I'm saying. And I'm loving the way this tech is spreading around the world so quickly.
Yeah, it really is kind of amazing to see. Especially in some of those countries where we just haven't seen any. I mean, this whole citizen thing is definitely reaching in areas that, I don't know if there's even any development companies necessarily in some of those areas, but people are able to pick it up and do stuff. And I don't know who else has an answer for this. I mean, I know there's still people out there wanting to compare everything that's going on here to Salesforce, but I mean, I look at where we're at, where we're going. I look at Salesforce, and I'm starting to see a pretty significant divergence of paths here.
I can't see how it can be compared as the same thing. You're talking about the Lightning? Yeah. The Lightning.
The whole thing. The entire Salesforce platform versus the entire Power Platform and Dynamics. I think that we spent many years chasing them. Yeah. We weren't going to catch them. Stop trying, and it seems like we said, you know what, fuck these guys, we're going to take a hard left. And I think it was the smartest thing they ever did. But as they continue down that left path, we're seeing quite a divergence, and I think we're going to see fewer people like comparing the two. We've got organizations right now that have got both. They got Salesforce stood up in there doing whatever it's doing, and they got Power Apps, scattered all over the organization doing what it's doing. It definitely is open. I mean, a brilliant move by Microsoft from a marketing standpoint, regardless of comms, that they, because it used to be you'd walk into a customer as Salesforce and you'd say, okay, well, call me next year. I'll come back and hope you're still happy. But now that's irrelevant, right? We don't even ask what they have. We're just going straight in the door talking about problems that we can solve with the platform. And you got Salesforce, that's great. By the way, we can even talk to that. I mean,
So AR Hollowbit, just on your comment there about Salesforce trying to compete with Tabular. The thing is, if you drill into Tabular is not a cloud solution, or it's not native cloud. And so they've got a, yes, they're definitely Salesforce are trying to compete in this space. But, when I interviewed the current head of Power BI a couple of weeks ago on one of my other shows, what's crazy, it's only been around 4 years, but they built Power BI in the cloud from the get-go. They weren't using an on-premise base to build this. And what I'm seeing is that more and more Microsoft, I always say Microsoft might not be first to market, but they know how to play a long game. Yep. Right? They know how to play a long game. And I think where we're moving into now with the Power Platform or CAP, as we're going to start calling it now.
Right, CAP.
By the way, nobody tweet out that I invented that name, CAP. Say Steve Mordue. Say it was Steve Mordue that
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Nothing to do with me. But as mixed reality, product visualize, all these are brand new tools. Mixing it up in the market.
It's interesting. It's kind of a little bit of a phenomena being the kind of the last one in to a market. And now we're talking about, cloud SaaS services, Microsoft being one of the last in. They have the advantage of kind of looking around at where everybody has taken it in the last many years. Mm-hmm. And that becomes their starting point.
Yeah.
Where everybody else has now got, even though they may be cloud, they still got, or not cloud, they still got legacy. And Microsoft was able to just kind of start with a clean slate from the front of the line and go forward without dragging a bunch of train cars behind them. And, Salesforce buying Tableau will be interesting because Tableau, I think, had kind of flatlined. I mean, we just saw, Power BI creep up the quadrant, right up there with the Tableau, and I actually passed them.
Yeah.
But Salesforce buying them, there's a potential Salesforce could throw a bunch of money at Tableau that wasn't being thrown at it before and try and keep that a 2-horse race.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't discount Tableau.
As in what you reckon they will come back hardcore on?
I think, Salesforce isn't buying them just to keep them away from Microsoft like they tried to buy LinkedIn. Microsoft has Power BI. Microsoft wasn't even a candidate. Salesforce needed Tableau to compete with Power BI, and I think they didn't just buy it to own it. I think they bought it to advance it, and I think that's gonna remain an interesting race going forward. Because I mean, Tableau just watched over their shoulder as Microsoft came out of nowhere. And just came right up and walked right past them.
Yep. Slack is another one, right? Same.
Yeah, Slack's another one.
Teams now, Microsoft just
these folks missed their chance to sell. They're selling at discounts now. Now you're selling a freaking basket case that somebody needs to go invest in to catch back up some of these market leaders.
What's your opinion on who the major cloud providers were? Years ago, a couple of years ago, let's say last month. People were talking about there's going to be 3 major cloud providers around the world, right? We definitely know AWS was in the lead role. Now we have Azure, of course. And my understanding, Google was always seen as the third pillar, that IBM had dropped the ball, that Oracle had dropped the ball, has probably been the other 2 other contenders. SAP, obviously, although a big company, have re-platformed onto Microsoft in that respect. So, but the thing is, I am failing to see Google execute as the third major strong competitor as in cloud.
I think it's kind of like the search engine wars, right? I mean, once you've built a huge search engine like Google, it becomes very difficult to compete. Microsoft, out there with Bing, and there's only a couple of players that can even afford to play that heavy investment game and that long game. And in a way, the one that's out front, just has to then turn around. They're in this defensive position.
Yeah, which is AWS at the moment, right?
AWS, and when you're in a defensive position, it's very difficult to continue advancing the ball. And you got Azure coming up behind, nothing to lose. right? Trying to knock you out of that seat.
Yep.
I don't know where Google is, but I could not imagine at this point, with the amount of money invested by AWS, the amount of money invested by Microsoft, and global data center, all that infrastructure. There's no company really now that's just going to pop up and plant a flag and say, we're going to be the new big cloud company again.
Yeah, yeah.
A bunch of SaaS apps, sure, but not infrastructure. And Google being really about the only other one that's got enough money to make a run at it. It's just whether they already see it as, we don't want to be third and that's all we could get.
I thought IBM had the capability to. I mean, I seem to be smashed lately. Yeah, I see what you're saying, our hollow bed, but Alibaba, Jack Ma has just stood down from the leadership of that company. It'll be very interesting to see whether the next generation coming through in that business is going to execute. I don't know enough about Dropbox to know whether they are that dark horse that you're suggesting. For me, they're great on storage of files, but I don't know them for much else.
I don't see Dropbox being able to get into the.
I don't see their AI engines. I don't see their cognitive learning tools. I don't see all the stream analytics services, that type of thing. Yeah, Apple has the money.
They just want to build phones.
Yeah, at the end of the day, cloud's not that pretty, and Apple likes to be pretty. I mean, mate, did you see the latest iPhone 11 Pro? Mate, that's the goodies
iPhone 11?
iPhone 11. Yeah, you're going, whoa.
I just you know what I mean? One last week.
If you'd waited to the 20th of this month, you should have been able to buy the
happens to me every time.
The 20th is out comes the Apple iPhone 11 and 11 Pro, and it's got 3 cameras on it. This time it's I did watch the launch announcement, and it does look pretty cool. I mean, there's not enough, but it looks pretty cool.
I hardly use the 1 camera I've got, much less 3, so I guess I won't miss much.
Yeah, true.
What else we have on our run sheet?
Well,
or did we finish that last one?
No. You mentioned something around the new AppSource partner portal.
Yeah, so we went through the transition to migration last week, and I'm sure a lot of other ISVs or anybody who has solutions in AppSource went through that as well.
That's right.
We went from a cloud partner portal where we used to create our offers, do our publishing, and all that sort of stuff. They moved over Azure apps first, so they've already been there. But this past week or so, they've been migrating the customer engagement applications.
Mm-hmm.
We still don't have a category for Power Apps. There's a checkbox, but there's not an actual category for Power Apps, not a way for people to easily search for Power Apps. Hopefully that'll be coming soon. But you do now deal with all of your offers. Consulting services offers are still going to be in the old portal for the time being. No rush, and I don't even know what they're going to do with those. I don't know how successful those.
It should have never been put in there. It just diluted the catalog.
And it was a bunch of dumb offers that were in there, and I don't think Microsoft doesn't have a revenue angle on it like they do around the solutions. So I wouldn't be surprised if consulting offers possibly just fades away. But clearly they need to get those customer engagement offers over. And it's pretty good. I'd have to say, having used extensively both Cloud Partner Portal and now working in the Partner Center, which is where it is now, where frankly everything you do now is landing in Partner Center. I'm happier with the experience. I think it's going to be a little smoother. So that was, I just wanted to touch on anybody who was wondering what was going on or where their offers were, or what the hell's happening in that space, or thinking about getting started. Don't worry about Cloud Partner Portal anymore. You go right into Partner Center, and now, of course, first thing you'll have to do is sign that ISV agreement.
Yeah,
that's
we talked about a bit, right? And the thing is,
big new step.
We're really in the waiting phase at the moment, right? To see whether this is really going to be amazing, or whether it's the alternative. Well,
I think, we've signed the agreement as an ISV. If you want to continue to be an ISV, you have to have signed the agreement. I think in October it kicks in that we're actually supposed to be self-reporting and paying Microsoft. I don't even know where.
I just heard a whisper the other day that they're relaxing the fact that you have to pay Microsoft their dues if you source the customer with no Microsoft involvement.
I would imagine that would be the case if you're in the 20% threshold where you're, engaging co-sell, but you sold something without co-sell. I would think, okay, in that case, you only pay 10. But I would be very surprised based on everything they've talked about that, if you found the customer on your own, you don't have to pay us anything.
Well, I heard this from the top 1% of ISVs based on size.
Well, I know who to ask and get the actual answer. So
exactly.
I will go get that one. But my guess
that was very interesting. There was no reference between the 10 and 20%. But what they had been told is that if you already owned the customer and Microsoft didn't co-sell that customer, or wasn't sold through the Microsoft platform, that it wouldn't have that fee or that kind of rebate going back to Microsoft. That co-sell.
I can see that making sense for like you say, the top 1%, because now you look at somebody like Click Dimensions, who's got thousands of customers that they've had for years, and Microsoft say, hey, we're going to change the rule. From now on, you have to pay us 10% of all of those historical customers going forward. I could see that being an accommodation they would make for maybe that top 1% that, if I was Click, I'd probably be telling Microsoft to fuck off too. I mean, come on. I've had these customers for 10 years paying us, and now you want a piece of that? Kiss my ass. I'm happy to pay you going forward, but not for that stuff. So I'll find out.
It would send a massive wrong message to market that Microsoft, who asks everyone to build their software on their technology, could change the rules in their favor to such a massive amount, and the detriment of the customers on the platform. For me, that's just not logical. It doesn't seem like it would fly.
The wild card is, what are they going to give up in return to make it worthwhile? And that's a huge pile on them. I mean, as an ISV, I don't care about the 10%. As long as I get at least that much value back out of the deal, I'm fine.
Correct.
If I don't, then it's just a tax. And I'm not happy. And Dan's asking about discouraging sales outside the platform. Yeah, that definitely. I think that any accommodation that's being discussed now, like you just mentioned, my assumption would be that's for some of these legacy ISVs. But going forward, any new ISVs as well as those legacy ISVs going forward with new customers. Yeah, I think all bets are off. This new agreement is going to be in place. They're not only discouraging sales outside of the platform. In the near future, there's discussion about preventing it. I mean, you will not be able to sideload. The only way to install a solution onto an instance will be through AppSource in the future. That'd be the only way to get something in there. So there won't be any side loading. There won't be any trying to play monkey. So right now there's self-reporting on the side-loaded stuff, but they just turn that off. Where the only way to get stuff in, how that works with DevOps and stuff is all to be sorted out. But
I could see how they could do it though, as in I can see how they could force through AppSource and not through the solution loader, that type of thing. Even though it can't be, that would be easy to circumvent right now. I could see in the future,
wouldn't be hard.
Would be hard. All you gotta do is put a little thumbprint on that, a little hash algorithm, that type of thing, and
they've solved more complicated problems than that one. They can solve that one.
Yeah, you can block software being dumped into the cloud pretty easy with a signature on it. Very good. So, well, we're drawing to the end of the show. Is there any last? Do you want to take a look at the chat? I think you got a few more chats there. Anybody else got anything they want to throw into the mix before we?
I guess Ken doesn't like our webcams. He's saying if Apple buys them, he knows two guys, or makes them, he knows two guys that might buy them. I probably would. I converted all Apple, right? I
hate Apple products. I don't use them at all.
I got the AirPods, and I got what the hell else did I get? Apple.
Did you get an Apple Pencil?
I did not get an Apple Pencil.
I have an Apple Pencil.
I'm having FOMO again. Damn it.
Yeah.
FOMO again. I got
I've got.
something, some other Apple thing. What the hell did I get? I don't know. I'm just
Have
buying
you
all
got
Apple.
the AirPods? Have you got the AirPods?
I do. Yep, got those.
My wife, yeah, that's it. There you go. So my wife tells me that they leak too much audio. She keeps hearing my music and she's not into it.
Really?
Yeah, and then people stare at me funny on the train sometimes, whether I've got them up too loud, maybe.
Interesting. I've only used them like twice and only on phone calls, so I'm still kind of getting used to having something
Okay.
stuck hanging in the ear all the time.
Yeah.
Soon enough.
Nick,
All right, cool.
we should get you on the show sometime, Nick Dolman. And
Didn't we figure though that having guests on the show was killing our audience for some reason or another?
I don't know. You know, Nick, if he lifts some weights while he's on the show, I reckon it
Yeah,
might
maybe
attract some
something.
audience. You know.
Maybe we did do something. What the, figure that out. All
I
right,
love
cool.
it.
It was
I love
another
it.
great show. I enjoyed it. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. Tell all your friends, children, neighbors, people at the fast food restaurant. Please have them tune in.
Get them to subscribe and hit the bell. Do you know that if you don't hit the bell, you don't get notified at all? Just
Gotta hit that fucking bell, man. Hit that fucking bell.
Where's the camera?